Good morning, everyone, and welcome along to the Blood Red Morning Bulletin. We are live on the Blood Red YouTube channel and Liverpool.com, Facebook, and Twitter with me, Patrick Smith, once again in the hosting seat, and I'm joined by Liverpool.com's Ben Boxshak. Ben, how's things?
Yeah, all good. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Not exactly the most exciting news stories today. The problem with these live streams is sometimes they aren't the best at news stories and transfer rumors to go through, but we've got some decent ones nonetheless, actually. We'll start with the main one, I think, from today. Obviously, it regards Mason Mount. Now, there's lots of reports on him in the past week or so. I think the main thing we've seen today is David Ornstein of The Athletic has basically said that Man United are interested in the race and Mason Mount is preferring a move to Manchester United at the moment. And then, of course, the Daily Mail have also reported that talks for Mason Mount are set to commence. Now, Chelsea, Ben, apparently want £85 million. The report from the Mail suggests that United want to pay in the region of £55 million. Now, do you think there could be a situation where Chelsea don't actually sell with the bidding starting this low? Because I imagine Liverpool won't want to spend much more than 60, maybe 70 million for him.
Yeah, I think although Chelsea would prefer to keep him, they kind of do need to sell players on, and also they probably don't want to lose him on a free. So it's a possibility, but I think the most likelihood is that he goes unless he signs a new contract. I think there's a strong likelihood that he will leave, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see who does end up paying the most for him. I think Liverpool will be reluctant to enter a bidding war. And obviously, if you're going up against Manchester United, they're going to be able to offer him more money. And I think as well, there are probably better targets for Liverpool, better value for money out there as well than Mason Mount. Mount is a talented player. He's been to some major tournaments at international level with England, has done well. He's obviously done well in the Champions League final, but this season he hasn't had the best of seasons. And I think Liverpool needs someone who can lift them almost. And Mount doesn't feel like that. He feels a bit low on confidence. He feels a bit almost towards a downward trajectory. Whereas I think there are midfielders who are on an upward trajectory, and I think if Klopp is looking to rebuild, that those are the kind of midfielders, those are the kind of players that he should be looking to bring in.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on a number of levels. I mean, Mount, while he's a good player, I don't think upwards of 50 million needs someone I'd be going for. I think I'd be turning my attention to elsewhere, given Alexis Mac Allister is probably going to cost between 60 and 70 million. We'll move on to Mac Allister shortly. But as for Mason Mount, I think you're right. I think he definitely will be leaving Chelsea. I think the main thing for me on that one is Todd Boehly has new clauses in his players' contracts signed under him that they have, I guess, a 30% wage cut or something crazy if they fail to get in the Champions League, which they have. So if Mason Mount's agreeing a new contract, to add on to his current 1 year left, he's going to have to take even a cut maybe on his current wages like the rest of the players have, which I just don't think he'll agree to, strangely. So, I mean, it's a very interesting one. But let's get in the head of Mason Mount then, Ben. You've got Man United offering you, the same money, same as Liverpool, but they're in the Champions League. Which proposition would you take if you're Mason Mount? Man United in the Champions League or Liverpool in the Europa League for this season?
I mean, also I'm going to be biased, and I do think if you're getting the same money, then you'd choose Liverpool because I still think it's a more exciting project. And I think the appeal of working with Jurgen Klopp is still bigger than Ten Hag. I mean, who knows what will happen in the future, how Ten Hag's tenure will end up at Man United. But right now, it's too early to judge, I think. He's done okay in his first season. Did lose 7-0 to Liverpool, so, that's not great. But overall, he has done okay. And, they do have Champions League football as well. But I don't think he'll be quite as lucky next season. I think there's going to be a lot stronger teams competing for the Champions League, and it's going to be interesting to see how Ten Hag deals with that. But then obviously, if I am Mason Mount, then United are probably offering me more money, and then things will turn out. My decision will be different based on how much money I will be getting, and I think in the end, that's what it will go down to in Mount. I think it's whoever has not just the most attractive proposal in terms of on the pitch football matters, but financial aspects as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rubbish question for me to ask because obviously we're both going to be quite biased towards Liverpool, but I think it's also quite an interesting crossroads in Mason Mount's career at this point, because does he want to become a central midfielder or does he want to remain as a number 10? Because I think if he were to sign for Manchester United, he'd be signing as a number 10, I think, because they play a sort of further advanced role in midfield. Whereas in Liverpool's new system, he'd probably fit somewhere across those three. But then just on that, this new system Liverpool have adopted, it's a bit different in the structure of the midfield. Where do you think Mason Mount would slot in? Would he maybe go into the Curtis Jones role? Would he maybe occupy Jordan Henderson's role further on the right? Which do you think would best suit him in the current Liverpool system?
I think it would have to be Curtis Jones's role. But then I also see that being Mac Allister's best role. And if, we are going to talk a little bit about Mac Allister, if he's already coming in, then why do you need Mount? I think Mount is also more comfortable in the left-sided area. And again, as for United as well, they've got Bruno Fernandes in kind of Mount's favoured position. Like, where is he going to play at United? That's going to be interesting as well. Are they going to force him out on the wing potentially, because he can play there as well? But I don't see him playing over Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, I think Bruno's definitely got the edge on Mount there, and it's one of those where I probably will end up getting shoehorned out wide if we're to sign for Manchester United. But you've led beautifully into our next point, which is Alexis Mac Allister. Of course, we have to talk about him. It looks like he's played his last game for Brighton. I mean, we don't know. De Zerbi was pretty ominous in his pre-match press conference, saying that he hopes they'll stay. He hopes Europa League will help them stay. But it was a pretty emotionally seeming lap of honour. I mean, Liverpool fans on Twitter were making it seem a lot more emotional, I think it was, for Mac Allister. It's up in the air if he is definitely leaving or not. And of course, Pep Guardiola shared an embrace with him, which some fans were very scared by the prospect of City swooping in and stealing him. But I'm going to open by asking you a simple question. You can sign Alexis Mac Allister or Mason Mount for the same money on the same wage. As you said there, they're probably playing the same role in midfield. Who are you going for out of the two?
I'm going for Mac Allister. Like I said, I think Liverpool right now needs someone who can lift them. I don't see Mount being that, given he is probably a bit low on confidence. Whereas Mac Allister, I mean, he's just helped Brighton to their best ever season. He's won the World Cup with Argentina, did really well in the final as well against France, against a really strong French midfield. I think, it's a no-brainer for me. I think he's more of a well-rounded midfielder as well in terms of what he can offer Liverpool and his sort of box-to-box ability. But at the same time, he does offer goals and assists as well, like Mount. So for me, I think it has to be Mac Allister 100%.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. If it was the case of the same money, one or the other, it'd be Mac Allister all day long for me. I think he just offers more. I think he's more suited to Jurgen Klopp. While Mason Mount is very competent defensively, maybe almost underrated defensively, we know that Mac Allister's got that energy and that tenacity that you need in a Jurgen Klopp midfield. But an interesting point as well that one of our commenters has made, Mr. Toby Larone, I know it's an alias, but it always makes me smile seeing his name. Does Brighton's Europa League qualification affect the deal at all? Tony Bloom is a data genius. He doesn't have to sell if he sees value in keeping Alexis for another year. I mean, yeah, as you said, Ben, Mac Allister's been a massive part in leading Brighton to their best ever finish. Do you think there's actually a case where he might want to stay and, play for them in the Europa League and be the main man again? It could, for Brighton's sake, even add to his price tag.
I think for Mac Allister, no. I just feel like he's been at Brighton for a little bit now. He's probably achieved all he can. I think that's how he'll feel. And I think he'll probably want to move on to a bigger project, a bigger club, and Liverpool represents that. And I think as well, in terms of Brighton's main sell is, we'll bring in these young players and we'll make you into not world class, but just below that standard. We'll make you into elite level footballers who top clubs will want to buy, and then we'll sell you. And if they don't sell them, then their appeal, I think, for younger players becomes a lot less attractive because that is what their project is based to be on. So I think even in terms of Brighton, I think they will have to make a sale to show, this is what we can offer. This is the pathway that if you come to Brighton, this could happen to you.
Yeah, it's a very good point you make there, actually. I mean, that's very true. It'd be hard for their recruitment if they but make all these players stay for another year in the Europa League. Because I didn't realise, I've just had a quick Google, Mac Allister's actually been at Brighton since 2019, which surprised me.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of loan spells back to Argentina, of course, but I mean, 2019, it's 4 years now he's been at Brighton. It definitely must be the right time for him to move on. And yeah, I think the pathway, as you mentioned, there is a huge part of that. But you do never know. But they've also signed, I think, João Pedro. There's rumours with obviously James Milner, Mahmoud Dahoud. I mean, so I think they'll be,
Yeah, don't get me wrong. They're going to be a force next season as well.
Yeah.
But
They're very, very smart. Tony Bloom's a genius, isn't he, in the transfer market?
Absolutely. And I think they will do very well. I think they'll compete for the Europa League next season as well in the Premier League. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to do as good as they did this year. Because I think they will sell like one player or maybe two. Caicedo could be the other one. But I think they'll keep Mitoma. I think they'll keep a lot of the core of that squad, and they got some good young players coming through as well. I mean, we saw Encinzo come play against Manchester City and score an absolute worldie. So they'll be a force next season.
Yeah, Buonanotte looking very sharp as well. I don't know where they pull these players from. Levi Colwill as well as a player who I'd like to see in a Liverpool shirt potentially one day on that left-hand side. Very quick, very competent, looks very suited to it, but maybe a couple more years of development down at Brighton. But a couple more transfer rumours then for us to talk through today. There's one regarding Jude Bellingham, but it's basically a nonsense one saying that Liverpool may still pounce on Jude Bellingham's transfer to Real Madrid. And then it contradicts the report itself by saying a move to Spain still looks the most likely for the England international. Bit of a weird one there. But the other transfer rumour that we'll finish on, Ben, we touched on Ruben Neves yesterday. There's been further reports today that Liverpool have a concrete interest in Wolves midfielder Ruben Neves, according to Football Insider. It also claims that Barcelona are in pole position, which I think we all know. Now, do you think there's any case where Ruben Neves could be a good addition to Liverpool midfield?
I mean, in terms of his experience, yes, but I think in terms of his playing style, I'm not 100% confident that he could be someone who could be good for Liverpool. I think he lacks that kind of speed and the energy in the midfield that Liverpool need. I think he seems more like a Barcelona type of player. He's very good technically. He reads the game well, and I think in that sense he fits Barcelona's project probably a lot better.
Yeah, I think it's pretty set up, isn't it, with Sergio Busquets' departure? I mean, you wouldn't be getting rid of Busquets if you didn't have a replacement lined up. And it looks like Neves, I mean, I said this on the stream yesterday, he said goodbye to Wolves about 5 times, isn't it, at the end of every season and still somehow ends up staying. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him in a Wolves shirt come August. But yeah, I think that one's pretty set in stone. But we'll leave this morning stream there. Thank you so much to everyone for watching along live and giving us your comments. Make sure you subscribe to us on the Blood Red channel so you don't miss any of our daily morning bulletin streams, and of course plenty of other content across the Blood Red channel and articles on Liverpool.com as well from our brilliant writers such as Ben. But for now, thank you so much for joining myself, Patrick Smith, and Ben Boxshak. We'll catch you again soon on another morning bulletin.